School's out for summer, the pool is open, the sun is shining, and it's almost July 4th. Hi, I'm Lindsay from My Better Batch, and today we're going to be combining two of the greatest desserts of all time, homemade chocolate chip cookies and vanilla ice cream. That's right, we're going to make homemade Patriotic ice cream sandwiches.
They're so good.
Ice cream sandwiches really take me back to when I was a kid. We used to go to the pool. There was something really fun about going to the snack bar and ordering a chocolate chip cookie ice cream sandwich. The cookie was really soft and the ice cream in the middle melted so fast the race was on to eat it before it got all over you. For this recipe, we're gonna bake our cookie in a sheet pan to make assembly and baking time as easy as possible. This recipe will take a little bit of extra time. In fact, you are gonna wanna prepare these a day ahead of time to give them a chance to set in the freezer before you serve them. Trust me, you'll be happy you did. Let's get baking. For this recipe, you'll need one batch of chocolate chip cookie dough. Store-bought cookie dough will work just fine if you're short on time. Red, white, and blue sprinkles, and 1 gallon of vanilla ice cream. Today, I've mixed up a batch of my favorite chocolate chip cookies. If you haven't already, be sure to check out my chocolate chip cookie recipe. These cookies are made with 1 egg and 1 egg yolk, which really helps them stay soft and tender, ideal for ice cream sandwiches. If you're planning to use store-bought cookie dough, be sure to pick up 2 packs. To save some time, I'm gonna bake my cookies off on a sheet pan. Remember, a sheet pan has the raised edge on all 4 sides. This is a half sheet pan, which is about 13 by 18 inches. The cool thing about baking off one big cookie is you decrease your overall cook time. You have a uniform shape and size, and assembly is a bit easier than if you were building these individually. I've lined the bottom of my sheet with parchment paper, and now I'm gonna make sure the entire sheet is covered by gently pressing the cookie dough like this. Just be sure to spread the cookie dough evenly. It may not seem like you have enough to cover the entire cookie sheet, but just spread it thin. You'll have plenty. One trick I like to use is to use my cookie scoop to evenly drop the dough throughout the sheet. This helps me make sure that I don't just have dough on the first half of the cookie sheet, but also have plenty to be able to spread evenly across the entire sheet. Your cookie is now ready to bake. I've preheated the oven to 375 degrees. I'm just gonna place the cookie sheet on the middle rack and set the timer for about 12 minutes. I really like to start checking my cookies when they're about 80% of the way done. Although this recipe will bake for 14 to 16 minutes total, you absolutely do not want to overbake these cookies. There is nothing worse than an overbaked cookie, especially for ice cream sandwiches. Actually, a slightly underbaked cookie will do just fine because they'll firm up when it's placed into the freezer. When your cookie is done baking, it should look like this. I know it seems slightly underdone, but trust me, you'll be happy you took it out of the oven when you did. Be sure to allow the cookie to fully cool before you take it off the cookie sheet. This is why I used 2 pieces of parchment paper to give me some leverage as I pull it off of the cookie sheet. Place your cookie onto a cutting board and allow it to cool completely. This should take another 20 to 30 minutes. So we've let our cookie cool for about 30 minutes, and now we're gonna cut it in half. And don't worry about these outer edges. We're gonna trim those after we've put the ice cream inside, and you'll have nice straight edges. So now that we've got our top and bottom, we're gonna place them onto the cookie sheet and pop them into the freezer for about 30 minutes. You can do it longer if you need to, just to harden up before we put the ice cream on the top. While the cookies are cooling, you're gonna wanna prep your ice cream center. I've learned through many mistakes that this is a really important part of the process. I let my ice cream sit out on the counter for about 20 minutes, but what I found is that it still is pretty hard to spread across the cookie. And so what I'm gonna do is place this ice cream into the stand mixer and mix on medium for just a minute, and it is going to help us soften up the ice cream. I'm gonna beat the ice cream on medium speed for about 1.5 to 2 minutes until it forms a consistency that looks like this, soft enough to spread onto your cookie. Now we are ready to start assembling. I'm gonna put down some plastic wrap and place the bottom of our ice cream sandwich right on top. So we are gonna put the bottom of the ice cream sandwich top side down. So bottom side up in the middle of the cookie sheet. And the reason I put this plastic wrap here is because once we put the ice cream on top, we really want to bring it up over the ice cream and hold everything in place to prevent the ice cream from going off the sides of the cookie. And so you can see our ice cream is a really, really nice, soft consistency. It's not melted, it's not too hard. And so we are just gonna spread the ice cream right onto the bottom of our ice cream sandwich.
Remember, there's not a right or a wrong on what flavor or just how much. I like the ice cream to be a couple of inches high because once you add the cookies, I want to make sure it's not too tall. But really, would that even be a problem? Once I've covered the entire surface with ice cream, leaving about 1 inch around the outer edge, I'm going to place the cookie into the freezer for about 30 minutes to harden up.
So we just took the ice cream sandwich out of the freezer. We let the ice cream set for about 30 minutes. We're gonna take the other half of our cookie sheet, place it on top, and you're gonna give it a little bit of a push, and then we're gonna place it back into the freezer. So you're done for right now. We're gonna put it in for a minimum of 4 hours. You actually could leave it overnight if you wanted, just to let everything set up before we trim the edges and cut them into squares.
My ice cream sandwiches have been in the freezer for about 4 hours. This giant cookie is what dreams were made of when I was a kid. Now, using a sharp knife, I'm going to trim the edges about 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch. And as you can see, if they're not softened slightly, they could be a little tricky to cut into. Now, I'm going to cut our giant cookie into about 12 to 16 individual ice cream sandwiches. The size is really dependent on how big or small you'd like them to be. Because I'm making these for July 4th, I'm going to decorate with red, white, and blue sprinkles. You could also use multicolored sprinkles or even small chocolate chips.
I am so excited to serve these for July 4th. I don't know that there's anything more fun and festive as a summertime treat. Ice cream, cookies, sprinkles, they are just absolutely delicious. If you have a favorite July 4th recipe that you like to make, a cookie-inspired recipe, I'd love to hear about it. Please be sure to put it in the comments, and as always, make sure you subscribe and give us a like before you start baking. I'm Lindsay from My Better Batch. Thanks for joining us.